The more you're ma'amin in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the extent you're ma'amin, as if it becomes a reality. When you really believe in something, like 1 + 1 you know is 2, then even if someone wakes you up in the morning, you know 1 + 1 is 2. You don't have to think, it's so obvious to you. It's like you know the palm of your hand.
Wherever you get your podcasts, or on prismoftorah.com. This is Rabbi Asaf Aaron Prisman on the Parsha, the Prism of Torah. This week, Parshas Vaeschanan. Don't forget to leave the airport.
Shalom to everyone. After the Heilige Tisha B'Av we just had, we are now approaching the next Parsha, Parshas Vaeschanan. And this time, I want to elaborate on the Pasuk, Perek Daled Pasuk Beis. The Pasuk tells us that one should not add on to the Torah, or Chas v'Shalom, take away something that's written in the Torah. As it says, Lo tosifu al hadavar asher anochi metzaveh eschem velo tigreu mimenoi. So, Rav Neiman in his Sefer Darkei Mussar asks the obvious question. We understand why a person is not allowed to take away and remove things that are written in the Torah. But what's the understanding behind the other mitzvah, which is not to add? We value the Torah, we want to protect it even more, we want to show Hashem how much we love the Torah. Why can we not add other commandments to the Torah itself? What's so wrong with that? Before I bring his answer, I want to bring two other questions that at first glance have nothing to do with the topic we're discussing. But the answer will be very relevant. And it's close to my heart right now because I just heard a good friend of mine speak at my shul yesterday during Tisha B'Av, 2 days ago. And he raised two questions to do with Tisha B'Av. Question number one, how does it really make sense that HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects us, or Chazal expect us to mourn the lack of the Beis HaMikdash? Harei, it's something that is so not tangible to us. We haven't experienced it, so how can we mourn it? That's question number one. He asked, and question number two, it's a very strong question. The Rambam in Hilchos Melachim, Perek Yud Aleph, Halacha Aleph, says the following. It says the following: in the future, HaMelech HaMashiach, in the future, will come back, and everything will go back to the way it was, Malchus Beis David, and Imir Hashem will have the Korbanos again, and the Shemitah and the Yovel, and everything's very nice. And then it says a very striking sentence, V'chol mi she'eino ma'amin boy, and whoever doesn't believe that this is what's going to happen, and in Mashiach that will come in Beis HaMikdash, or mi she'eino mechake lebiato, or, as Achronim are medayik in the Rambam, or even if you do believe, but you don't wait and yearn for him to come, or mi she'eino mechake lebiasoy, not only is he kofer b'sh'ar nevim, lo b'sh'ar nevim bilvad hu kofer, ela b'Torah v'Moshe Rabbeinu. That's an extreme statement. If a person, even if he believes in Mashiach and all that will happen, but he's not yearning and waiting for him to come, it's as if he's doesn't even say as if. It says, Mamish, the Rambam says, his kofer, it doesn't believe in the Torah, in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, etc. And the question that my friend, Rabbi Ezer Pine, asks, I don't understand. The fact that Hashem is upset at us, and it's as if we're kofer in the Torah, and in Moshe Rabbeinu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and everything, if we don't believe, that's understandable. How can we not believe? We know that everything's from Hashem. And the Torah is from Hashem, and this is what's going to happen. But the fact, okay, so we don't anticipate him to come. We're not yearning for Mashiach to come already. Well, that's also, we're labeled as people that are kofer in the Torah? How can it be? That's very extreme. And after feeling the question, he says, the answer could be very simple, but you still need to ask the question and give the answer. And the answer is, to both questions my friend Rabbi Ezer Pine raised, is, at the end of the day, it's all a function of the same thing. It is all a matter of belief. It is emunah. The more you're ma'amin in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the extent you're ma'amin, as if it becomes a reality. When you really believe in something, like 1 + 1 you know is 2, then even if someone wakes you up in the morning, you know 1 + 1 is 2. You don't have to think. It's so obvious to you. It's like you know the palm of your hand. That's how you know what 1 + 1 is. So too here, if you really, really believed Beis HaMikdash, that we had Beis HaMikdash, and it's going to come back to us, and what it did, as we spoke last week, that the whole spirituality of the whole world was a better place. It was totally different. And it removes the barrier between us and Hashem. The mechitza goes down. If you really believe to an extent, then that becomes a reality for you. And therefore, that it's automatic and it's obvious that you're going to yearn for Mashiach to come. It's obvious, and therefore it's all one thing. It's all about the emunah. And that's the same reason we are expected to mourn for the lack of the Beis HaMikdash and Mashiach and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Shekhinah to come back to Yerushalayim. Why? Because it all reveals how much we believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and in Mashiach that's going to come and everything. If we really believe to that extent, then for us it's like a reality. And yes, you can reach the point that you mourn for it. And that's what Gdolei Yisrael wasn't hard for them to cry in Tisha B'Av, because their emunah was so high. Now what does this have to do with us? The same thing is also true by us. The level of emunah, all these things of mourning, and what the Rambam says, that it's as if it's kofer in the Torah, because if you really believe on a high level, then you're yearning for Mashiach to come already. Especially when you see what's going on around us and what low levels already people have reached, Yeridas Hadoros, etc. Then of course you're yearning for Mashiach to come. If we're really ma'amin, we'd even do Tikkun Chatzois every night, which brings Mashiach closer. So that idea, in a way, Rav Neiman says, also for the question raised in our parsha, if a person really believes the infinite wisdom involved in the Torah, that the Torah is something that came directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there is no end to the wisdom behind it, in so many dimensions, Pardes, Pshat, Remez, Drash, Soid, and we know that the Torah is geared for all the generations until Mashiach will come, and also after. HaKadosh Baruch Hu already created the Torah before He created the world. And the Gemara tells us HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked in the Torah, and through that He created the world, i.e. the Torah is the blueprints for all the worlds. So therefore, if a person realizes that, of course he can't add something to the Torah. The Torah is perfect. The fact that we on our own, not Chazal, we on our own are adding something, that almost shows that there's, on a certain level, a lack of our understanding that Torah is perfect and it's for everyone, for all the generations. Not like Chas v'Shalom, some people want to say, oh, let's get with the times, it's different. And davar kazeh. The Torah has infinite wisdom involved, and we see that in so many ways. Now, I'll give just 2 examples. One example is the Gemara in Menachos, Daf Mem Daled Amud Aleph, talks about a person who was very careful in the mitzvah of tzitzis, and at one point his Yetzer Hara got the best of him and he was about to do a big Aveira, but at the last second, as he was walking to do the Aveira, the tzitzis, the strings hit his face, and we realize what tzitzis is all about. As we know, the tzitzis represent the Taryag, the 613 mitzvahs, and they reminded him what life is all about, and it saved him from doing the Aveira. And so many mitzvahs have this aspect to it, that they're so deep. And even the Tamei mitzvahs that we know, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I remember a gadol, I don't remember who it was saying, look at our Torah, how much wisdom is involved in it. And this is only what we can fathom, but there's way more than that. Eved Ivri, a person that steals, doesn't have money to pay. He has to sell himself to be a slave. But who takes under his wings this Eved, this slave? It's obviously a family of chesed that they're willing to take a criminal into their house. So instead of this criminal going to jail and living with other criminals and feeding off of each other, and you know that you're affected by your society, that's another Rambam, famous Rambam. Instead, he gets to live in a family that's totally 100% pure chesed. And the way they had to treat the slave is as if he becomes their master. If there's only one pillow in the house, he gets the pillow. Why? Because this way we can bring him up and he'll see what life is all about and how life is a better place. When you do chesed, then you mimic HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and everything is totally different when you do that. And so it goes, and so it goes. There's so many mitzvahs like that. And the chinuch goes on to give the ta'amei mitzvahs. And we know that it's called ta'ama mitzvahs because ta'am means taste. And we connect to the mitzvahs as much as we can, but we have to realize it's only a taste. It's not the thing itself, because we can never fathom in this world the infinite wisdom behind each mitzvah. Everything and sof. And the person that adds to the Torah, whoever adds to the Torah, maybe Chazal can do that to protect us from certain things, but whoever adds to the Torah, it's as if it's a blemish in his emunah, that the Torah's emes and everything came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's perfectly geared for all the generations, for all the people. We're just talking about the tip of the iceberg, but whoever is exposed a little bit to anything related to Kabbalah or Zohar, you see how much gematria is involved, and each pasuk represents something. And the Sfarim of the Heilige Arizal that his Talmid Muvag Reb Chaim Vital wrote, you see how everything fits perfectly. It's unbelievable. There's so much, and we know that he got this only through Ruach HaKodesh. It's not something we can get on our own in this world, because the Torah is infinite, and we have to realize that. And I just like to end, after I think we've answered all the questions. Really, we asked one question in our parsha: what's the big deal if we add something to the Torah? And the answer is, yeah, it shows a blemish in the extent that you believe in the Torah. It all reveals that you don't believe in the Torah 100%. And that the Torah is there's infinite wisdom involved, etc. And also in Tisha B'Av, we also spoke about this idea of how can we mourn the Beis HaMikdash, and how can the Rambam says it's such a horrible thing if we don't yearn for Mashiach to come. How can it be? It wasn't a reality for us. The answer is, if our emunah is on the level it should be, it is like a reality for us. Perception is reality, as we know. And just like to end with a small concept. A friend of mine spoke to me about a certain idea, whatever it was, but he ended off with this seemingly very simple mashal, but I think we can all relate to it, so I want to share it with you. And I think it has to do with this concept as well, about living HaKadosh Baruch Hu and realizing that the Torah there's infinite wisdom involved, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what the world is all about. And it's not enough just to do the mitzvahs externally, but we have to internalize what we're doing. The mashal is as follows. Someone asked him, by the way, have you ever been to Cleveland? So he told me, I didn't know what to answer the person. Because, was I in Cleveland? Well, al tzad echad, yesh makom lachkor. What do I answer on such a question? On the one hand, I was physically in Cleveland because I was in the airport there for 10 hours. So I was in Cleveland. On the other hand, I never left the airport. So I saw buildings through the windows, but is it nechshav? Is it nechshav as if I was in Cleveland? I don't know. I didn't know what to tell him. Now, I assume Cleveland is a hub for switching from planes to planes. I know Detroit is. I would have said the same mashal with Detroit, but I don't know about Cleveland, but I'll take his word for it. At the end of the day, the concept is the same. He says that sometimes you can live life, and your whole life you can live in the airport. You have to live life. The mission of Pirkei Avos says you have to be with the brios, you have to be with the people, affect them in a positive way. You have to have relationships and be mashpia on your friend in a good way. Do chesed with one another. Give him a good eitzah. We have a mitzvah to give an eitzah toiva to our friend, to help him out. And when he's down, to help him out, etc., etc. But we have to realize that we can't just do things externally, just because we're used to it or it's the right thing to do on the external things, side of things. But we have to internalize this and live HaKadosh Baruch Hu, live the Torah, realize what we're here for. And this you can only do through Yiras Hashem, through working on Yiras Hashem, through working on your emunah bitachon. In our door, in our generations, there's so many kelim, so many tools out there to work on your midos and internalize them. We have the emunah bitachon of the Chazon Ish that's been translated even. We have chovas alevavos. And a person has to use these tools that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us in our generation to reach this level of 100% emunah. Yiratzon that we won't be living in the airport of Cleveland our whole lives, but rather we'll feel like we're outside of the airport, connecting to people, working on emunah, internalizing emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, working on our midos to be like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ma'hu ma fatarachum, v'yiratzoin, that through that, Mirtzeh Hashem will merit to bemet mekar the Gulain and die letzariseinu, and will be zoiche to Mashiach tzidkeinu b'mirav yameinu. Amen.
Thank you for joining us. This is the Prism of Torah. Visit our website, prismoftorah.com, where you'll find a full archive of hundreds of past Divrei Torah. Subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and don't forget to share with your friends and family. Sponsorship opportunities are available for all of our episodes. Thank you, Yona Vefa, for your recording equipment. Produced by Eli Podcast Productions.